Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is that special uh, day of the month where we do our forecast for the next month. And Ness, welcome. We are looking at the month of April. That's promising a lot of action. So,
Oh, goodness, yes. April is I said this before, it's rocket fuel, folks. So we're gonna as usual, our show, I bring the astrology, Deb brings the tarot, and we're gonna unpack the energies in the container of the month of April. So we're gonna look at those 30 days and how to prepare yourself peaks and valleys in terms of the
yes.
energies there. But before we go into April's energies, Deb, oh my goodness, the news cycle these days is just
Ugh.
the stock market is up, is down. How are you feeling with everything?
I feel up and down. um, you know, uh, and I want to give a shout out to the family because if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling like all the feels, uh, you know, it's okay to take extra time, take for self care because we actually are moving through a lot of energies, a lot of feels, we're seeing things that are, uh, out of our control that are happening that we don't want it to happen this way, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And so with each of our own life experience, we're going to experience it in our own way. So take care. Self-care is very
Mhm.
important right now
Yeah,
because you know you best.
especially April, folks. The astrology of April is gonna be a bit whiplashy, like, we're over here, and then we're over here, and there'll be a lot of efforts to normalize, like, "Wait, what does this mean?" So there I recommend what Deb said, keep that mind in particular with April, because when we have a lot of new shifts, like, "Oh, I was heading this way, now," that's a lot for the brain to process. That's a lot for the brain to process. Well, what's changed? What's different? Is this new reality safe? Is it not safe? And it's very normal to do all of that, but it's a lot for the nervous system. We're not meant to consume this much information at once. You and me, that we read the news because we have to read on it in
Right.
terms of,
Right.
but the average person, it's a lot for us, like, just to do that. I can't imagine what the regular folks are trying to navigate it as well. Even this Trump and the tacoing, like, he somehow figured out how to make money from it. He Right away when he said the 48 hours, I knew it was a stock market play. I was like, "Oh, there you go," because nothing on Iran's side indicated a 40-hour is bit, but I was like, "Oh, he's playing the stock market because the timing, he did it, and everyone was, selling, selling, selling while him and his buddies were buying, 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 and then right when the stock market opened yesterday, or it's not yesterday, Monday, 7 AM, New York stock market, he sent his post. What I mean, are you surprised by his ability to turn a profit with this?
No, not one iota surprised. When you were talking about that, I was shown this vision of in the shadows, these players in the shadows as well. And then you said, and his buddies are, making all the money. But I'm absolutely, you guys. I know that he's the frontliner. He's the picture, the poster, yucky person for
Yeah,
what's
the
happening
face for it all. Yeah.
globally right now, but he's the face of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and and yes, it will be wonderful when he's no longer the face of it, but we still will have to
Contend
deal with the
with the fee, yeah.
yeah.
I think they said one senator or congressman said they called out a $1.5 billion bet. Someone placed a $1.5 billion bet on the futures market Monday, and there's never been that high of a bet, like that. And so it was clear someone used something right before. It was 5 minutes or 8 minutes before Trump had made that announcement. So this is all, like,
I
documented. People are
know,
talking to
I
each
know.
other. There has to be a way to show that this
And
happened.
it's just so bizarre that Martha Stewart went to jail
Yes, she went
for
to
her
jail for
little
this. Yes,
thing,
she went to
whatever
jail.
it was, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, confounding.
But we're also hitting this phase where I think in the past week, over 7,000 troops have been sent to the Middle East. And, actually, I want to give you accolades, Deb, because back in December, when we were reading about Trump's bizarre speech, where it was like a 14-minute run on sentence, and he had given all military people $1,776. I was like, that's such a weird amount. When you read on it, you actually, I don't think you were psychically bringing it up, but you just said, it reminds me of that, wartime dinner where we often military people will be given a fancy steak dinner before they're sent off to
Taking off,
war.
sure, yeah.
And then this past week, Pete Hegseth was in trouble because of the lobster, that exact dinner you had talked about, got him in hot water because people weren't aware of. We also bought a piano. I don't know why the military need a piano, but there's it's just so fascinating. I don't think you were trying to predict it, but it happened. It kind of came to
Yeah,
pass.
it came to pass. And that goes to show you to all our, well, I feel like we all have abilities. We are all connected to the frequency, the collective highway of information that's always moving. And that's just one of those times where something drops in without you stepping in, intentionally stepping into the energy. And it happens to all of y'all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pay
I think
attention to that.
Yeah, a big part of why people watch us or watch Marianne or Linda, Mel, Kevin, Nate, is they know they can do it because people in the audience can do it themselves. Like if you're not even consciously aware of it,
Yeah.
I think that's why, at least that was reflective of my journey. But going back to the troops, can you pull cards on it? Do you think that they are going to send troops in? My intuitive but also strategic brain says no. I think the troops are gonna be there. I think they're gonna be on the ships, but when push comes to shove, I don't think Trump will send in. I don't Trump is an individual. I don't think he will send in the troops. If someone else, happens to be president in the next 4 weeks, maybe they will send it, but I feel Trump's energy, he won't, and that's because he cares about being liked, and he knows if he sends in troops, people won't wanna be his friend anymore, in the simplest terms.
I
It's
feel
7,000 souls have been
7,000.
relocated right to
Yeah.
the Middle East in the past, 10 days. Yeah.
And pausing there for a moment, take a moment, everyone, and just wrap all 7,000 of those folks up with just love and light right now. They do not want to be there. The majority of them.
I can feel that too. I thought about that the other day because I think there's even reports that they're clogging the ship's plumbing on purpose because they're trying to not go on shore. So
right. I can, as you asked this question, BB came in. He wants these troops on the ground. Is what I'm getting here, and he will push for that. I'm also there's strategy above and beyond. There's layers to this, guys. And what I'm hearing here is that they want to diminish the American troops. So it's not just about Iran and Israel, all that. There's other players at play here.
Yeah.
And wanting to diminish the United States more than they already have.
Yeah.
They've already done it with, putting 45 in position and, wiping out our treasury and the whole thing, right? So they've already diminished us there. They've already split the country in half. They're already, so everything that they've been doing is already in place. And so this is how they're going to diminish. They want to diminish the armed services or
I actually,
the military.
I know so, for example, folks in that area, you think of many players, Russia, Iran, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Israel, NATO, China. So, as much as the fight is between Israel, US, and Iran, there are secondary interests where if Iran does something, China might benefit or Russia might benefit. And so
Right.
what happens is because of the Middle East, I don't know when it happened or how it was decided. The petrol that gets sold in the Middle East has to be sold in US dollars. And when it's sold in US dollars, it helps support the US dollar. And our economy, folks, it might not be obvious, but our economy, US economy is so boisterous and so supported, and some even say it's a Ponzi scheme, is because of our US military. Because our US military is so steadfast, our dollar is steadfast because our
Mhm.
ability to go after righteous wars or use our might in a right way, our
Right.
dollar works like that. And so by our military positionings being not clean, not being intentional, being in theory, some people it feels like there's an Epstein button being ransomed on or kind of blackmailed on Trump right now to do all of this. Our US dollar is at secondarily but primarily impacted. And so I think that's what you're picking up. Some folks want it to be the UN, the Chinese dollar. So yeah, they're
Mhm.
not actively in this Iran-Israel fight, but they want to weaken the US government.
Yes, yes, that's exactly. Mhm. Thank you for explaining that. So, you have, um, again, looking at the troops and a lot of there's no passion to be there, right? So you have
Mhm.
that 7 of no, yeah, 8, sorry.
8 no, 8 of Pentacles for reverse.
8 of Pentacles in reverse, and, they you have this, going along with that 10 of Swords there,
Feel like
feeling
betrayed.
yeah,
Can you imagine their training that they were meant to be, the mantras they say, "Fight
yeah,
for the brave," home of all those, and then it's just
yeah,
like
protect the United States.
yes,
This isn't even their thing.
yeah.
The overall energy, though, and you have that Page of Swords,
Mhm.
um, unfortunately, I I'm seeing that the possibility of them being put on the ground. Um,
Because that straight is once they're in there, it's hard to get them out.
yeah,
It's really, really
because you
hard.
have this
Oh, it's gonna
story
be
of them
fast.
going in,
They
yeah.
wanna go in fast. So,
They wanna if they have to be there, which they don't wanna be, and they feel like this is horrid and we're gonna be losing lives here.
because once they go in that straight, it's really hard to get them out. And so, not only that, Iran has such coast that it's you can't you can yes, you can jump in, but you can't hold the position. Like, that's the whole
Right.
with a lot of lives
Yeah.
lost. It's like what is it? Taking the
So
sheep to slaughter type of thing?
yeah,
Yeah, what
yeah,
do you have there?
that's exactly what's gonna happen, and they
Yeah,
know that.
I know, I know.
So it's very conflicted. This is the confliction card, you have that in
Oh, 4 of
reverse.
Wands up reversed, yeah.
Yeah. It feels as of now that where the energy is, it feels that is
Okay,
movement in.
okay, so it's funny, I was like,
Um,
why doesn't Israel send their soldiers? But I guess they don't
but
have they've been
they
going
don't
after
have
Lebanon,
no,
so
and there's layers to why they're
yeah.
sending
Why
our soldiers
US?
in.
Yeah.
And you remember, 45 could care less about the US
Yeah,
or
yeah,
their soldiers
yeah,
or
yeah.
no, he doesn't care. The one hope here, even though this there's confliction because
Yeah.
there are people in our government, this is White House, there are people who don't want this.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
And so there's that. So this kind of is a hopeful card, but looking at these cards all together, it feels as though we may see some ground troop movement.
It's interesting, there's a lot of TikTok videos and YouTube videos explaining sometimes global politics, and I could imagine if this occurs, there's gonna be such a plethora, even, like, eight-year-olds, like, going and saying, "Well, you don't do that because the geography is such that you can't get them out." Like, it
Right.
makes sense, like, you can't
You
so,
can't.
this will
Yeah.
be possibly a clear, Oh my gosh, I could see this. I could see people around him almost saying he has to do this because then you can almost 25th Amendment him. I don't want anyone lives to be lost because of this though, because basically it's a very bad military play. It's so obvious that it's a bad military play, but for him to do it, um but why would Bibi wanna do this? Because Bibi would say he wants to win, not do a move that's so bad that it actually makes the US retreat altogether. The US cannot do a ground invasion of Iran. They could do that island. I think this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the island that they're trying to
I
seek.
wanna look at why Bibi wants this, because it was pretty clear that he came at, like, he's
Or whatever group Bibi represents, like
right, that's exactly I think you're reading my mind.
yeah.
That's exactly who they were showing me was the group behind him.
And I don't think this could be strictly a religious doctrine. Like they're all reading these ancient texts that said in the year
No,
2026,
no,
like yeah.
not for Bibi.
I think I watched Buffy back in the day, and they used to have episodes like that, like the prophecy announced.
Oh, yeah.
She's in the news recently. There was a reboot and it got canceled, so
Aw.
I know, I was so excited.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
okay, so we're showing a lot of
'Cause strategically, I mean, they're going after Lebanon and they're being successful. It looks like they're actually gonna annex or they're gonna attempt to annex land from Lebanon into Israel, which is just mind-boggling, but,
there's
that's
some kind of fruits and rewards and financial gain, for this choice for
okay.
Netanyahu and whoever is behind him. So this is, overall, you're looking at some of the main energy of why he wants them on the ground is some sort of security
Okay.
and fruit. Again,
It's a
part of this,
monetary thing.
yeah,
It's
it's a
money.
monetary thing. I again really focus on the people behind both
Mhm.
45 and BB, putting them in this position where
Yeah.
but yeah. So
They made a
again,
bad move. Yeah.
the outcome they're looking for is this.
Yeah.
They wanna be in that position, but that, uh, yeah, that abundance, some
I
sort of
think,
abundance.
I've seen this with when I work with clients too. Sometimes these big tech companies or these big companies have this, like, not ivory tower, but they have these people making decisions, and they're so out of touch with their consumers. They're so out of touch with what regular people are thinking and doing. And in this age of, like, Pluto and Aquarius, like, folks, I've seen people make way better decisions today than I've seen like a decade ago in terms of how people respond to the news, how people make different health food choices, how
Mhm,
people are making different social choices like boundaries with other people. And so we're improving, we're
mhm.
improving and becoming, at least for mine, in some area, most areas better. But if people in these ivory towers, these people that are making these war decisions think we're just dumb sheep, like they might think we would just go along with this war and not really ask critical questions because it
That's how
seems
it's been before, but,
exactly,
again,
yeah.
we have been enlightened a little bit
Yeah.
here and not just the liberals or,
Yeah,
whatever.
not just the liberals, even
Yeah.
they're everyone's adding asking more critical questions
Mhm, mhm.
about things. Okay, so you're seeing boots on the ground, but perhaps it's gonna be a slaughter, which is what I'm seeing, and then that could be a 25th Amendment-esque with Trump, and that's why, and then potentially Vance could be president very soon, like in the next few months in terms of that particular decision. So and it's interesting because Iran says they don't want Jared Kushner or, Steve Wilkoff, I think. Iran yesterday said they want Vance to be the negotiator. So that's very smart. You know how Trump is really good at those social media sound bites and, saying something and etcetera? I think Iran is figuring that out now. They did one video post with their guard, their spokesman person saying the word "you're fired." "Trump, you're fired." And, like, so they're starting to understand how to play this game, the media game, and them having Vance broker the deal is very smart too on their part. So, we'll kinda see where all that goes. Maybe they'll start making memes.
Uh, yeah, could I'm sure they'll start making memes. That's their thing. This is the outcome of boots on the ground.
Yeah. And it's
Uh,
gonna really impact the economy because every time they do this, like, Trump does this, the economy goes up, but once we see boots on the ground, it's a real reality. Like, that's
so
and, there's
very
places
unhappy.
in, like, Australia, they're starting to, tell folks to stay at home. They're to kind of siphon the oil, and, I was on a show the other day with Nathan. He was talking about the 1973 oil, crisis where, it was, like, for 6 months. I don't remember how it happened, but there was an OPEC crisis, and people had to wait in line to get gas, and there was, like, if your license plate was a certain number, you can get gas
Oh
or something
gosh.
like that. So, um, I wouldn't
Um,
yeah.
you weren't here when this happened, but in the 70s, we'd be in gas lines for hours,
Yeah.
and you'd sit there, you'd turn off your car and eat and talk to folks.
Yeah. They actually created a plan here in California that was announced. It could be national. I think it was just for California of what it would look like if we would have to start rationing. Of like maybe people would work from home, or maybe it was just like starting to get guidelines. If that would be a more, I don't know if it was at the same time they just happened to make a plan and this crisis happened, or this is a plan in response to the crisis. But I know
Mhm.
Australia is already starting to drop things, and I
Okay.
think Philippines is going to be out of gas in like 45 days.
Oh
So
gosh.
they've asked, yeah, to basically ask the government for approval to buy gas because of economic,
Yep. Yep.
hardship. So yeah, very, very interesting.
What
Okay,
I
so
wanted also,
of course, yeah.
I because I've never seen, JD, as president,
Mhm.
and so I wanted to throw on
Yeah.
if that's gonna happen, and I still don't see him,
Wow.
there. Uh,
Because if Trump is removed for any reason, Vance would be the de
I
facto president.
know, but
Yeah,
I'm wondering, yeah, he doesn't wanna be there, that's for sure.
interesting. I do feel there's a
So
course development with him,
but
like
maybe,
someone is yeah.
we do have this card coming in with the Page of
Mm,
Swords, so maybe, but he definitely doesn't wanna be there. There's
interesting.
conflict,
Yeah,
imbalance, you got
mhm,
chaos,
yeah,
and I feel like there's another direction that was gonna happen.
yeah.
Um, what does it do that? Oh
The
gosh.
blurriness.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Um, when I
Yeah,
hear the
there was a moment, I think in October, where Vance and, Usha were at a restaurant. I think it was immediately after Disneyland or something like that, and, a waitress who waited on them later spilled the tea on TikTok, and basically they were verbally arguing a bit louder, but they were in a corner, so they thought they were more private. But I guess Usha had said, and this is what the waitress had paraphrased, like, "Oh, this could be our life. Like, this could just be, this could be our life, just regular, life." That was the implication, and they didn't quite grasp what Vance was saying afterwards. But that sense of what you're saying of Vance could say once he's seen behind the curtain how the sausage is really made, he might go, "Oh, I don't wanna." I see the same thing with Kamala too. I think she saw how the sausage really got made, and I don't actually see her in politics. I see her actually working with the youth and, perhaps being a professor of some kind for the rest of her
career.
career, or working more behind the scenes with other
Mhm,
things. So
mhm.
very interesting. Okay, so let's get
Alright.
into the tarot and the astrology of all. Let me go ahead and
Okay.
share. Let me do the astrology
Alright,
first,
let's
and then
do
we'll
that.
end on your weekly tarot poll. So, folks, stay
Okay.
for Deb's weekly poll because it's amazing. We've been doing this since May of last year, and she's been accurate for all of it. Actually, let me go ahead and see if I can share. There we go. And then we're going to end on a game. Folks, I actually prepared something fun for y'all. Well, it's our version of fun. I prepared a list of, can you see this? Okay, yeah. 8 things the US can spend 200 billion on and send. You actually could pull cards on this, Deb, if it's going to pass. So right now, I believe there's a bill um, in Congress to have an additional 200 billion approved for Pentagon to kind of basically finance this war. And I think they had 500 billion and they already spent it in 3 months or something like that. So they're asking for an additional 200 billion. And folks, I apologize if my numbers are off there. But I asked Chat GPT, what could 200 billion buy for us? So, and this was vetted, I had to double check. But basically, the number one thing is we can erase 91% of all medical debt in America, which is huge because it's not about people taking money for gratuitous reasons. It is just to live and survive. We could feed every public school student breakfast and lunch for about 8.5 years, which is just outstanding. I think Governor Walz, had some similar program in Minnesota, or Minneapolis. I'm sorry, or no, the state of Minnesota. Number 3, erase federal debt for about 56% of student borrowers, those who have 200,000 and under. 4, build enough renewable electricity to match the annual energy use of all government buildings. So we can basically make all government buildings energy zero, which would basically save costs for the US government long term to invest in other things. It could be 10 years of full paid medical leave and family leave for new parents, new fathers, new mothers, for 10 years. 5 years of childcare. So parents, if they have a child under like 5, they would get free childcare so they can work and not be pulled out of the economy. Number 7, cover a full year of average out-of-pocket costs, medical costs for Medicare beneficiaries. So 31.6 million people who have to pay out of costs for anything, whether it's dental, vision, hearing aids, that would all be covered. Or the last one is we could just send every taxpayer $1,242 is what we could use with that 200 billion. So I thought folks, you might get a little giggle out of this in terms of the price tag that they're asking all of us. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's when you see it written out like that, it's that could be spent well, but to see kind of some of where it could be spent,
yeah, it's
just really brings it home. Yeah,
it's kind of outstanding.
Mhm.
Okay, let me go into that. And folks, I'm an astrologer. That's one thing I do here on YouTube. My regular world is actually a design strategist. I work with a lot in future thinking and more of those corporate spaces. I have a newsletter. It's a very precious newsletter I send out once a month that I really handcraft and kind of puts a lot of resources in it in terms of guiding you on this spiritual woo journey. If you pull out your phone and you scan this, you'll be able to be added to my newsletter. And I have a signature reading called the 2025-2026 Paradigm Shift. As you know, we're in shifting times. So this reading really helps articulate to you what is happening and what will more importantly happen next. I have a sense of what's happening with Trump in terms of his particular energies. And let's get into April's astrology. So I'm going to go a little bit faster because I want to spend more time with Deb's tarot cards because they're so on point every time. So I'm just going to talk about it at a high level. So April has 2 distinct energies. The first thing with April is we start the month where things are a little wonky. Relationship tensions are kind of at peak point. And there's a sense of maybe wanting to do things by yourself. It's like it's hard to play nice with others, I'll say. This is a month where it starts off where it's hard to collaborate, it's hard to make compromises. This is the collective energy. So folks, you can imagine how this might translate to the Middle East, but This also translates to your personal life when you're trying to negotiate with someone, maybe being at a stoplight and saying, "You go first, you go first," or having, maybe more road rage on the highway, or just conversing with your coworkers or your neighbors or just with your friends. There's a dominant energy where it kind of people are having struggle to have a sense of harmony in relationships. So that's kind of how we start off April, and that has to do with a couple key events. A lot of planets are starting to pile up in Aries, which is a cardinal axis, and that is there's a lot of energy of first. I want it my way. I want to do things. We should do it like this, and also deviating from patterns. Cardinal energy is often like doing things that no one's ever done before, breaking from norms. And so that could be, while we might feel the need to do that, that could be hard for our friends and our community to understand. Well, why are you zigging when you normally zag? I don't understand that, but you have this appetite to kind of do something different. We also have the lunar events, the full moon in Libra and new moon in Aries, which is also about relationships and coming together, but also asserting oneself. So that's already kind of hitting the pulse of that. And then we start the month with Venus squaring Pluto. These are big energies. I believe it happens on the 3rd. And that's going to be something that kind of sets the tone as we kind of go into April. So that's that first part of April. That's where we're starting. The second part of April is a lot of breakthrough energy. So a lot of tension is happening in April for things to come to surface. So you're meant to have a lot of irritations between you and your partner, you and your neighbor, because you're actually meant to break through and reach a new paradigm of how you connect or how you relate, or maybe break apart in terms of like where you're not heading in the same timeline. And so that's a big dominant energy of April, in particular, the middle part of April. So a lot of bold new starts, breakthroughs, timeline jumps. Folks, you should feel the velocity of April moving very quickly. April, even though it's 30 days, should almost feel like 2 months in one. Like you're just going to feel like, wow, this just happened and this just happened. And oh, I can't believe that was just 2 days ago. It feels like it was a week ago. So, folks, keep that in mind, because as these planets go into Aries, as they kind of enter Aries, we have Mercury, we have the sun is already there, we have Mars. Mars loves being in Aries. It's going to actually get into a unique position where it's going to sextile Pluto and sextile Uranus. So there's a lot of breakthrough energies with that little, baby trine happening. Venus and Uranus also moves into Gemini, and Uranus moves into Gemini and stays. So, folks, if you have any Taurus placements that were really, brought through the ringer with Uranus going in Taurus since the end of 2018 to the beginning of 2019, you might think back to that period. For you, Deb, you and I were Libra risings, and we've been having money funniness since 2018, 2019, more like surprise bills or surprise happy things too. But it was where money was irregular, I would say, from the end of 2018 to the beginning of 2019 to about now. So you and I are going to have Uranus out of our money house. And folks, if you're an Aries rising, you might have experienced something like that too. And we're going to now have, we're going to have Uranus in our 9th house of expanding our minds, but we're going to have a different experience with Uranus going into Gemini. But as Uranus goes into Gemini, Venus is there too. So Venus softens the shock a bit, the boldness, the contrast, softens the edges of Uranus going into Gemini, which is a nice little kiss from the universe of, okay, I know Uranus and Gemini can feel like a lot, but I'm going to send Venus to kind of help usher and smooth over that transition. But overall, a lot of planets are in Aries, so there's a lot of like rocket fuel energy in terms of it. I'll just say, when it comes to the war in particular, there's going to be a lot of activity, I want to say, the middle and the second part of April. Astrologically, we might see a ceasefire around the 20th, April 20th. So folks, keep that in mind in terms of, the month starts where people are not getting along. We might see Bibi and Trump fighting publicly, or that whole gang of peace breaking apart a bit in terms of their agreement and pact to kind of go after Iran. But something really pivotal happens April 17th to the 20th. We have this new moon in Aries. We have Mercury sextiling Pluto, and then eventually Mercury, when it's infused with this Pluto energy, goes over and conjuncts Saturn and Mars. So it's very powerful reset, new timeline that sort of emerges there. And I won't go into the lunar events, so folks, just pause the screen right now here and read this, because I want to spend some more time on Deb's cards. But I want to say very powerful, positive full moon in Aries on April 17th. This is in our favor. Very bad for Trump, I'll say. But and I'll also pause this for folks if you want to see read this one. This is going to just be guidance around how to work with this new moon in Aries, which is his bold new starts, which really correlates to what's here. And then we have the full moon in Libra 2 weeks prior. I'm going to just folks pause this so you can read this. This is something to be aware of. This one has some tense placements. And this is also not good for Trump as well. But let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen, Deb, so we can get into the tarot of it all.
Yeah. I love going through that, because then I I'm looking down at my weeks here as you're going through, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense to that. And so
it surprises me. It happens every time, but it shouldn't surprise me. It happens every time.
I know, right? All right, so let's just kick right into it, you guys. I pulled cards for the month of April. Yeah. I did 5 weeks, so the first week is the 1st through the 4th, and then I pulled a third card for that same week that is just specifically for us, our energy, because I felt like trying to really dig deep into the regime and 45 and their intentions, what they're planning or whatever they're doing for each week, and or whatever energies are around them. I wanted it to be separate. So here we go. And okay. So week 1, this is what we're looking at for 45 and the regime. And looking at the King of Swords here, sorry. No, King of Cups.
King of Cups, yeah.
Sorry. The nine of Wands. Mm-hmm. So it does feel as if there's anxiety, stress, reactionary energy here, but also you have that with that 9 of Wands, you have that, what do you call it? That on the defense, ready to go, mm-hmm. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you may find the regime is looking like, on the surface, everything is calm and everything is handled, but underneath, not so much. Not so much.
It's that hypervigilance on their part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm pausing because that King of Cups, that's where you're looking at, where you have the waters like this and appearing calm on the outside. When it's paired with that 9 of Wands, it's not. Yeah. It's not.
Yeah.
So you're going to see that kind of play out there.
And that makes sense, because Trump keeps saying like, oh, we have a deal. Oh, I've just talked to them. And actually, you and I were texting last night, and we believe that when Trump keeps saying, I have a deal, I just talked to Iran, and then Iran goes, well, we haven't talked to him, I don't know what he's saying.
Right.
We both feel that someone around Trump is pretending to talk to Iran, or maybe they haven't really got the message to Iran, but they're presenting it to Trump as if they have a direct access to Iran when they don't. So it's not Trump lying, even though he does lie, but there's a bit of manipulation on his inner circle.
Yeah, for sure. All right, for us, we got the Lover's card for that first week, and for the collective. And this is, when this card came up, I thought, oh, okay, this is like giving us a choice point. And I feel like you addressed that too as well, Ness, in
The
It's
Venus
in the
square Pluto.
astrology,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. She
So
relationships, yes.
what's I feel like what's being asked here with the Lover's card is, what do I align with? What do I stand for?
Mhm,
And you brought it in with relationships, but this is for the whole, right?
mhm,
Collectively,
yeah,
in relationship to, right?
yeah.
So not just politically, but energetically,
And that
morally,
actually
spiritually, all the things.
that makes sense because that's, like, literally 7 days or 5 days after the No Kings protest. I think the No Kings protest is gonna be a great heart opening for the
Mm,
world in terms of
mhm.
seeing people. It's expected to be the largest global protest ever, and
Ever.
possibly by a high percentage. Like the previous protests could be like a 25% jump in terms of the size.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, again, this is not a passive week for us. This is a conscious choice week,
Yeah.
that we're going to be looking at. All right. So, week 2. And these are the 2 cards for Trump and the regime and what they're, yeah. Yep. So, we have the Devil and the Queen of Wands here. This is a heavier week
Mhm.
uh, for them. Um, Talking about manipulation that's continuing. Through messaging, through his strong personalities, influence that pulls up people, all the things. You're going to see that in the second week. Um, it is not clean energy whatsoever. It may be present very magnetic, but it's not clean.
Mm.
Um, so it's important to just be aware of what it's very much, we got to stand in our truth. We got to know truth. We need to be in our intuition
Mhm.
and be clear about what's being shown to us,
Yeah.
because it's very manipulative energy that week.
It's almost like what we're gonna see in the news will be kind of inflammatory. We're being a bit triggered by it, or he just said what, or did they just do what? Like it's a bit of that.
He's up to his own, when I look at that, because the devil usually comes in when it's him, right? 45.
Mhm.
So he'll be up to more of his games and creating narratives and all the things. So being aware that week, yeah, it doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
And here we are
Oh,
trying to be aware.
yeah. Overwhelmed.
Yeah, overwhelmed with the 7 of Cups. This is confusion, overwhelm, too many narratives, people not knowing what's real or what to trust. So this is a week of discernment for us.
And that week, Mars will be in Aries. So that is
Okay.
a whole new phase of war.
Okay.
That and I think it takes usually about a year for Mars to go into Aries. So this is very full war.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would make sense to the devil too,
Yeah.
and what they're doing. Um, so important not to, I feel like Spirit's offering us the energy of that, not reacting, not getting pulled into all the different cups that's
Mhm.
being thrown. Don't get pulled into that noise, and really coming back to your own inner knowing here
Mhm. Mhm.
is important for week 2 and week 1.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think it's going to be important every week.
April, folks, is rocket fuel. April is I would honestly see April as being the apex of the war, possibly. And then maybe basically there's gonna be a ceasefire afterwards or in the beginning or in April. And I actually see us possibly exiting the war, or war is very non-existent in our minds by June.
Oh,
So,
yes,
yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
All right, so we're moving into week 3,
Yes.
and I want also to be aware of, as we move into this week and then the last week, uh, the major arcana cards coming in. as
Ooh,
well. So you
yeah.
have the Emperor, the Magician and the Emperor energy coming in here. So, this is very intentional
Mhm,
energy.
mhm,
This is very controlling. This is very structuring things in a very deliberate way. I feel like they're moving. This is not random. This is not
mhm,
chaotic. This is very designed.
mhm, mhm,
So I feel like they are. I feel like, you have that Project 2025 feel to this as
mhm,
well,
mhm,
and how they're like, okay, this is going to be a hard week, I think, for us
mhm.
because of
The plan
the
coming
plan,
together.
and
Yeah,
they're like, this is our week to implement some of
yeah.
their bigger plan.
It's kind of like when someone pulls a move on you and you're like, "Wait, I didn't even see it coming," but then you get to see it like, "Oh, I s this is what you were doing the whole time," type of thing.
Right. And I
Yeah.
feel like, that week before, that second week, we were looking at, here's a bunch of distracting things,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many things. And then we dive into that week 3 and they're like,
Oh, yes, we can see what you're doing. Yes.
because yeah, but because they were distracting us the week before, they were able to pull
Yeah,
in
we
this
weren't able to notice that.
right.
Interesting.
This is and so the big word here is, this was designed, this was
Yeah.
planned, this is not
Kind
chaotic.
of like that week is maybe where we get to they reveal their cards too. Like there's a sense of us seeing that it was planned and designed, and so I don't think they're overtly trying to reveal their cards in pardon the pun, but I think, we sorta get a sense of it, that, "Oh, this is the ultimate plan the whole time."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Alright, and for us, this is where we're sitting, with the 4 of Cups in reverse, so I do feel a huge shift
Yeah.
in the collective.
It's like a refusal.
Mhm. It's like also, not only this would be more of a refusal,
Oh,
like,
okay.
I'm not liking this.
Yeah.
This is, in reverse, so we're looking at it a little bit different, and it feels like, a wake up.
Mm.
It's like and we talked about this before coming on a little bit, Ness, with how this whole thing happening, and we're like, "Okay, this was" 45 came in as an instrument of
Yeah.
waking
People
everybody up.
yeah.
Um, this week is gonna offer another one of those, moments of a deeper wake up. There's layers of people waking up, so
Mm.
this is another layer of folks waking up.
And that week that folks she's pulled for April 12th to the 18th, and I've said April 17th to the 20th is a critical apex period. And
Okay,
so you're right, approaching that critical period.
yeah,
Yeah.
and, so it's kind of like, "Wait a second, I'm seeing things now in a different way." It's like it's opened up more, and, so the 4 of Cups in reverse shows someone with less apathy. So they're
Mhm,
like, "Oh, more
mhm.
awareness." So that's that reversal there. So and, more people engaging, um, because of whatever's taking place that 3rd week. And it does feel Project 2025-ish.
Mhm,
So alright, so then we move into that week 4,
mhm.
and we have the Queen of Pentacles and the 5 of Wands, and I feel like you said something about, um, some struggles between, uh, 45 and Netanyahu.
Yeah, the first part of April in particular, but there's something Mercury's having a dominant moment. Actually, no, you're right.
Yeah, the
Venus and,
19th through the 25th here.
yeah, Venus and Uranus together will sort of conjunct and move into, Gemini, and Venus is relationships, and Uranus is surprises. So there potentially could be a conflict there.
Definitely, and
Yeah.
also, you're looking at, uh, you brought up the gas pumps. I see
Mhm.
some massive stuff there, uh, and, so There's tension. This brings in tension around real life resources and stability, the everyday impact. We're going to be feeling that 4th week. And so when you said that gas thing, I'm like, yep, it's going to really be showing that impact here. This is definitely not smooth energy. There's disagreement, there's friction. So in between the administration and themselves, we're going to be seeing some of that, more of that. Okay.
Yeah, that week, Mercury does an interesting thing. Mercury in Aries, Mercury communication, Aries war, active, I'm gonna go for it, is going to sextile Pluto in Aquarius, power of the people.
Okay.
But then Mercury will conjunct Saturn, structure, principle, karma in Aries, and then Mars in Aries. I feel like we're going to hit a threshold of the consequences of this war that week. There's some
Okay.
new reality that we can't go back.
Mhm.
And I think the Mercury is the communication, the words, the contract. This could be countries agreeing not to use the US dollar ever again for the Strait of Hormuz. Or there's some sort of new paradigm that we enter between the 17th and the 20th of April that we don't go back. And I think it affects the pocketbook, which is the Queen of Pentacles. Yeah.
Okay.
And that
All
could
right.
actually be the plan that was revealed all along. We were talking about, are they trying to weaken the US dollar? That could be that previous week. And then it really hits it's kind of like a threshold of the economy. Maybe they might even declare we are officially in a recession on April 17th to the 20th. Yeah.
Real struggle that week for sure.
Yeah. Very
All
interesting.
right.
Okay.
And for us, the collective energy, we do have the sun in reverse coming in.
Oh
So this might be where we really are
no. Yeah.
feeling a little discouraged. We're tired. Things aren't moving the way we had hoped.
Yeah.
But I want to be clear about this. It's the sun is still the sun. This is never a card that is, it's still the sun, guys. And the light doesn't go away just because it's dimmed a little.
Yeah.
It's just for a moment. Okay.
There seems to be like searching, where, where's the light? Where's the hope? People are going and asking and reaching, and where are the grown-ups type of thing? Where's
Yes.
where's the solution out of this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. You're like, okay, let's get through April. All right. So we're moving into the week 5, and that's the 26th through the 30th.
Okay.
And it's a very interesting cards that showed up for this week. Because, okay, so we have the Chariot and the Star coming in. And again, this is for Trump and the regime and the energy around them and what are they planning behind the scenes and like all that. So normally these are beautiful cards, movement forward, hope, healing. But when I look at who we're asking about, it kind of changes. So I just wanted to say that up front. This feels like a very intentional push forward, and paired with a very carefully crafted message with this. They're curating something. I feel like the couple weeks moving into this, they're like, okay, we need to do something to kind of look like we are in control and
we're off
we
ramping.
know what we're doing. And so like, this is the direction we're moving in. This is the vision. Trust this, the whole thing with that. So I feel like that week they're trying to clean up a little bit, or like pull things back in, that we're in control. And this is the messages they're going to be trying to give us. And I feel like we need to be kind of beware of that and the messaging, because again, you're pulling from a group of people who everything that comes out of their mouth in every direction they're doing is about either gaining money for themselves, or then you have the Project 2025 play as well, where they're just trying to do their whole thing. So for us, we have the 4 of Pentacles coming in here, and I like this. This is important because we are not just blindly going along with this narrative.
Mhm.
We're no longer blind. Like we
Yeah.
have had it by now,
Yeah.
and we absolutely have more on board now
Yeah.
because people have woken up, more people, right?
Yeah.
So this is holding on tight,
Yeah.
holding on to your truth, holding on to your values, holding on to your resources, and holding on to your energy. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the collective being intentional
Mhm.
about their discernment
Mhm.
and yeah, holding on to their to truth.
Mhm.
So even if something is being presented as hopeful, people are thinking for themselves. They're like, okay, yeah, I don't, yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah.
It's so I said the astrology, this apex between the 17th and the 20th. I wonder if that is the soldiers being deployed.
Mm,
Because the chariot and the star could be like, "Oh, it's a good idea, it's a good idea." There's
mhm,
a dynamic when it comes to, like, the game theory of war. Once you start engaging with war, because of the context and because of how you communicate with your just the dynamics of war and how you start to play it, it points to escalating it very quickly than
mhm,
de-escalating it. It's more cognitive executive functioning to de-escalate the situation. The psychology is it's more easier it creates has its own momentum and it starts to escalate more than de-escalate. And so I feel that chariot and star is like the natural physics are like it's gonna escalate. We're kind of holding on and going, okay, if you F this, you're saying it's
mhm.
gonna be quick and easy, but if you F this up, we're gonna hold your feet to the fire, that 4 of Pentacles. And so,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, folks, I just have to say, April does not look great. I just wanna say it's like you're
Well,
gonna kinda hold your nose and
you've
kind
been
of get
warning
through.
us. You've been warning us.
I know, I know. I didn't know it was gonna be like this. This was the story that was painted.
But I do wanna
Yeah,
say, just for, the family,
yeah,
this isn't a month of complete collapse or anything like that. It is pressure.
yes,
There's going to be, confusion. There's going to be manipulation. We've already lived through that. We're kind of prepared for that, but this is gonna be even, the next step of that. Um, but because of that, there's a great awakening, in this month as well. I just want people to focus on that as well. Because there is a turning point, and we're seeing it around that 3rd week, I think you said, right?
yeah, yeah, the 3rd and 4th week.
And people are gonna start seeing more clearly
Yeah,
to be prepared, for what, so we're not powerless here. This isn't I just I wanna encourage here. I know that yes, we're gonna feel tired, we're gonna feel
yeah,
discouraged, but, um, that's where we're gonna just kinda take a step back, step into our higher mind and go, "Okay, life is happening for us and through us, not to us."
yeah,
And if it is happening for us, where is this it's taking us to
yeah,
that greater awakening. So we are aware, right? And that's what really, really matters. We are
yeah,
aware, we're awake, and we're present. Um, so that awareness, it does change how we respond to the horribleness, right?
mhm, mhm,
And so stand in that power and stand in the power um, that you align with the right side of history and light and
mhm.
love. Um, so again, at any point that you feel overwhelmed this month, just step back into that alignment with your
Yeah,
higher mind and love and light. And know that there's a lot of us that are there with you.
yeah.
Uh,
I would say for April folks, especially I'm reading, Deb, your cards. I just like we have to just get through April. Like,
get through
we
April.
just have to get through it. There seems to be like, oh my goodness, a new dynamic, a new paradigm, a new reality that is a bit unimaginable for us now, or maybe for some it is, but we're not quite there till we live it. And I would say, folks, if April is a bit difficult as well, yeah, just get through April. A breakthrough is sort of around the corner. But there is a more of an awareness breakthrough that Deb is bringing up, that we're more aware. We're also more connected socially on the heels of that March 28th No Kings protest. So we're not as alone in the shock and horror. We're able to bear witness with each other in terms of what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really be conscious about staying in clarity and conscious choice instead of being in fear and noise and chaos. Clarity, conscious choice. So hopefully that helps, guys. And I will try to be more present online this month as well, so we can all kind of gather together.
Yeah. You could, show up and just give us some clarity on what just happened. What does it mean?
How do we get through this moment?
Yeah, that would be
I'll try to drag Ness on here too again.
We might do an emergency special edition show.
Yeah.
Should we transition to the game?
Yes.
Okay, I have it on my screen. If folks, if you've not joined us before and made it all the way to the end before, Deb and I play a game. And it's just a game that kind of parallels Deb's psychic development classes. I've attended many of her classes. They're amazing. If you're someone on your spiritual journey, it's very affordable too, very high touch, high immersion, a lot of practice. And when you're practicing your psychic abilities, when you have someone who's psychic teaching the class, they can kind of jump into your energy a bit and see what you're seeing. So they're able to really fine tune in a way that it's harder to take a psychic development class with a trainer who's not psychic themselves. So I highly recommend Deb and her classes. But this game we're going to do is I'm going to pick a card, a tarot card, Rider Waite, and Deb is going to pick a tarot card. And we're going to hold it in front of the screen, but you're not going to be able to see which one it is yet. And then we're going to have you focus in on it. We want you to think on the card. You might even pause the video and just really feel into the energies of it. You might write down any impressions you have. Recommend grounding your feet while you're doing this and just breathing in and seeing what you notice. And spend, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes feeling into it. And then go ahead and play the video. And then we're going to reveal what the cards are. So let me go ahead and remove this from the stage, and I'll start to... So folks, go ahead and pause the screen if you want more time. Otherwise, Deb and I are about to reveal this. Okay. I can go first.
Go first.
Here we go. The 10 of Swords, which also feels like a message to the universe to me about this is ending. All of this is ending. It's not beginning. So it's the beginning of the end. Not for us, but for them. So, anyhow.
All right. And my card?
Yep. Do we get the same one?
We did.
What are the chances? It's like what? It's 74 times 74.
God.
The chance that we would get the same card is 1 in 5,476. But then I also got the message too that this is just the beginning. Did you get a message? I don't want to override your hit on it.
I found it interesting with this one because she's on her phone. Like, okay, well, this happened.
Yeah. And scrolling.
Yeah. So just really, again, taking us back to being aware, because this is what's happening to us on a daily.
Yeah, we're in this point.
Literally, this is what this regime is doing to us. And so being aware of that and releasing any swords that don't belong to you. And being conscious.
And you kept a straight face too when I pulled my
card. Know. So again, it's that clarity and conscious choice, even with swords in you.
And
and releasing those swords.
And my message when I pulled the card, it felt like, this is just the beginning of the end. This is not World War
Yeah,
III. This is not a
exactly.
civil war. This is the end of this old oligarchy energy. This is the dying energy of this gang of peace because they
Mhm.
don't have a business model moving forward. They have to go jump Iran and steal their resources because they don't really have a future the way they are. So yeah, very interesting, folks. So with that, Deb, that was yeah. This is our folks. This is a conclusion of our April predictions with astrology and tarot. If you want to book with Deb, reach out to her. Book with her. If you want to book with me, there's going to be information for both of us below in the description. Otherwise, I look forward to unpacking what happened in April and checking in on May with you next month.
Yes, so we'll see you again for and Ness will be with us for next month, but I'm also gonna drag her in here during this month for sure, you guys. So we love you, and please stay connected.
Of
We'll
course.
see you
Bye,
next
everyone.
time. Bye.